Hey everybody, we made a quick list of counters for the mid-game level player. It's a little cheat sheet for all of you out there. Alright, so here's our first team is Sinister Six with Doc Ock, and one of the best counters for these that we found is going to be the Supernatural with Hela team. You're going to come into them, you're going to want to stun Doc Ock, and hopefully get the blinds on the right people. If blind lands on Rhino, that could cause some problems. Alternatively, you could try and blind or stun Rhino, and when Rhino is stunned, he can be blinded also, which is a weird thing, but that's how it works. But I like to try and stun Doc Ock, and then you use Strange's Flip to turn all those rejuvenations into bleeds, and the team kind of falls apart after that. You just keep focusing down Doc Ock first. Another way to do it, especially if they have Mysterio in here, is to go after them with the symbiotes. The symbiotes feed off of the summons, and when you kill Mysterio, who's pretty squishy, he summons 2 more people, they feed off of that, the turn meter gets going, and then you have the control to take out that team, so that's another choice for you when going after the Sinister Six. Next up, we have the Astonishing X-Men, and we have had a little bit of trouble with this. You don't see them on defense as much, but when you do, they're kind of problematic. One good way to take out this team is with aim. It works well at low levels on a punch across. You have enough control to flip those debuffs and make them work for you, and you can keep these guys under control. You want to target Jubilee first and get rid of her. If not, you might think about getting rid of Bishop, but he's kind of the wall, kind of like a strife that you got to get around. I always say Jubilee if you can, Beast if you can't. If Beast is dead, this team hardly heals at all, and it's a lot easier to get them down. With Beast keep bringing them back, it's tough. But this team usually gives them enough control, slows them down enough that it works. If they're a bigger team, it looks like it's going to be either Black Order or an X-Factor team with maybe Captain Marvel or another plug-and-play character as the 5th on X-Factor. That'll get it done. But that's kind of a waste of a team. Hopefully we're not coming across such big Astonishing X-Men as that. All right, Asgardians. We still come across these on defense. This is a terrible team to be putting on defense as the symbiotes or the Axemen walk over these guys. Greg is summoned by Hela and is just feeding turn meter to either of those two teams. It's an easy kill. You can punch way up with either team, so don't worry about the Asgardians. Just, wait for a big punch up for one of your alliance mates to use if you don't have the proper punch up ready. You don't want to be wasting, like right here I'm showing almost a 500k symbiotes. That would be an absolute utter waste against the Asgardians. They're a super easy team. You can punch way up on these guys. It's an easy team to get. The only reason I'm including them in this list is because we still see them a lot, and it's a mistake. If you have them on defense, you should think about removing them from defense. All right, Technerva and variants of Technerva is a team that we come across. This is kind of a junk team, but we still see it a lot. What we're being recommended to do is aim with Ultron, can punch up pretty high on this team. You just want to get the stun on Groot with Graviton, and they fold pretty easy. Another thing you can do is like the Young Avengers team. If you have them with Captain Marvel, you can ult into Rocket, and then I just kill Rocket twice because he's revived by Minerva, but you can kill him twice. Then their damage is so low, they're not doing anything. The rest of the Young Avengers can take it down. It's kind of a junk versus junk team. It's not really strong, but at the same time, they can get a little bit tricky. All right, here we have the S.H.I.E.L.D. original team with Coulson and Fury, and this team has been power crept to hell. It's got lots of counters. The main one is going to be the Brotherhood 2.0, which is literally designed to take this team down. I punch up big time on this, like 50%, 75% punch-ups sometimes. It's ridiculous. The team just folds under the pressure. So Brotherhood is the way to go with this team. However, if you don't have a Brotherhood and this one's sitting in your defense category and no one's stepping up to the plate, then you can alternatively use like a Symbiotes or an Axeman that's going to get fed off of Nick Fury's summons. Yeah, alternatively, I mean, you could throw Kestrel in here, but what a waste. This team is so easy to beat. I just say get a Brotherhood, big punch up on this team, and take them out quick. Next up, we've got Wave 1 Avengers. They become really popular. Up until just recently, we had Black Widow in here, but she's sometimes being moved off in Skilletary. Don't worry, if they're replacing Black Widow with anybody else, it doesn't really change the team effectively. The thing that you're going to want to use is the Hela Natural team. You come in with a stun on Hulk, and Once Hulk is stunned, you prolong the stun with Scarlet Witch. Do not use Loki. This one is way more effective. Some people have been switching Loki in here. You don't want to do that. And then you can spread blinds with Hela. This team, you just have total control over the team with this. You can make some really massive punch-ups at any level. There is an Ultron F4 team that you can go into this and punch up pretty well too. All right, next up we have the Hydra and Hydra 2.0 variants on defense. For the original Hydra team, at lower levels, power armor works fine. Sometimes they screw up and you got to go back in and clean up, but most of the time they'll get the job done with the defense down coming off of Ironheart, and then Tony Stark will finish off Red Skull. You don't need to use like Powertron or anything like that because we're not encountering these at a high enough level to warrant it. Otherwise, you can bring in like Zemo on his own, will just crush the original Hydra team. Now, the Hydra 2.0 team gets a little more tricky. People, I'm told, are bringing in Inhumans for this, although sometimes Inhumans are being kept on defense, so you may not have that available. Again, if you have a large Zemo, you can come in on this team. If you win the coin flip and your Zemo goes first, you can ability block their Zemo, and then this team really just folds. Otherwise, some punch downs with some other hybrid teams are a way to go, but really I think Zemo is the way to kill these minion-filled teams, even on a Zemo team. Next up, we still run into Black Order from time to time. Once in a while, what you see is there's one or two people that keep a really huge Black Order on defense. When that happens, you just go in with your Black Order and you can do some pretty sizable punch-ups. Like mine's 716k. I've never encountered a Black Order that's too tough for me to take down, even when the buffs are against you in war. Alternatively, you can use the X Factor team with Surfer. You got to play it just right. And the other team that can do some slight punch-ups is Shadowlands. But most of the time, we don't see this too often, and that's why we keep our Black Orders reserved on offense. Most of the time, that's just what we do, is go in with our Black Order and beat theirs. Okay, we have Marauders. Some of the basic counters that you can use for Marauders is, of course, Black Order, but we don't need to do that too much anymore because now we have a lot more offensive choices, such as the X Factor with the fifth of your choice. Silver Surfer's a great one. You can also use the F4tron, that's Fantastic Four, with Ultron in place of Johnny. They do pretty well. But your best bet is going to be the Shadowlands. Now, when you do Shadowlands, what you want to do is your ultimate with Elektra into Strife. That's going to remove his taunt, put Disrupt on so he can't taunt anymore. And then you go after Emma. There's two ways to play it. You can do the White Tiger special into Emma, which puts a 2-turn ability block and Disrupt on her, really screws her up, and then you can go back to kill Strife, or if you think you got it, just go hard into Emma and take her down. Then you can go back to Strife at your leisure and really take this team out. Okay, we've got Mercs up next. Now, almost any variant of the Mercs is going to pretty much play the same way. Most of the time you see Shuri on this team. A lot of times it's Shuri and Killmonger because there's some more synergy there. At lower levels, X-Force is absolutely fantastic against these guys. I punch up 100k with my X-Force, and as you can see, they're only about 280. And I can punch up 100k into these. What happens is you want to use your Negasonic Teenage Warhead as a striker, because most of the time they're boosted, so her going as a raider isn't going to crit anyway. So do her as a striker, and you want to target whoever's the lowest minion, and you try and get one of those minions below 50% health. That'll give your X-23 the speed up that she needs, and then she can land the ability block on Taskmaster, and once that happens, you can pick this team apart. Another good team, especially at higher levels, is going to be the Hydra 3.0, which is Hela Hydra. Hela and Loki in there, and with Zemo, Winter Soldier, and Grenadier. This works really great, especially if your Grenadier is the highest damage on the team, which for most of us that's not the case, but if he is, he's the one targeted. Sometimes you can swap in Red Skull, and so he'll get targeted and he'll be revived. We kind of like doing the Loki Hela combo because it's that defense down and you can spread those things. Works out really well. It's a good team for that. Zemo just picks those minions apart, absolutely destroys them. And the final team is the Uncanny X-Men. That's your Phoenix X-Men. You don't need Beast on that team. You just need to have a big Phoenix. They target her. She dies. Dark Phoenix comes out, just beats the crap out of them, and then usually Cyclops comes in and finishes them off with his ult. Okay, we also have another variant of the Mercs, which is the Hela Mercs. This has Hela and Loki in it. One of the variants that you can use to beat this is the Hela Zemo, Hela Hydra 3.0. There's too many acronyms for these guys. Hela and Zemo go in there and they really break things up. Symbiotes can work, but they can get blown up if there's a big Hela. You got to be careful about that. It's all about getting to that Greg in between Taskmaster and Hela's ult. And I think one thing you can do is if this team is really big, it's probably going to be a problem for Black Order. Or you could use Skilletary. Now, Skilletary is still kind of a luxury team even after their rework, but they have a lot of the tools that can handle this. All right, so here we have one of the hybrids that's really become popular. This is the Silver Surfer Coulson with the 3 Inhumans, Black Bolt, Crystal, and Yo-Yo. This is a very frustrating team. It's quite challenging. At lower levels, you can use Brotherhood 2.0 on this team. The blind really screws them up, and they miss a lot of their attacks. You're able to do some serious damage on that team. But at higher levels, right now, we're kind of just suggesting taking in a Black Order for small punch-ups or punch-across. And you can also use an X Factor with Kestrel or a Surfer of your own can get it done. That one gets a little more tricky. You got to know what you're doing. Okay, last on my list for today is the She-Hulk Fantastic Four team. The best counter for Fantastic Four with She-Hulk is Fantastic Four with Namor. It's kind of ridiculous. They built a worse defense than the offensive version, but we see people do this. I haven't seen a power level that can't be punched across with the mirror match version with Namor. Thanks for joining me for this one, everybody. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button for more videos, and don't just have a good game, be good to each other too. Thanks.